who can toss it better than me? Would you relax? Come on, man, I'm sick of this!
Vanilla Ice is in hot water tonight. He's facing some serious charges after being arrested for allegedly stealing bicycles, a swimming pool heater, and furniture from a Lantana home. I feel horrible, he says. Worst day of my life. Getting arrested, it's a shock to the system. You can't help but think, wow, is this really happening? But let's hit pause for a second. When you think of the 90s, what comes to mind? Grunge music, flannel shirts, vintage boomboxes. And, of course, the rise of a certain rapper who had us all chanting, "Ice, Ice, Baby." That song, it wasn't just a hit, it was an anthem. But behind those infectious hooks and gravity-defying high-top fades, have you ever stopped to wonder what was really going on in Vanilla Ice's life? Let me be clear, I'm not a white rapper. I'm a rapper. Music doesn't have a color. So, was Vanilla Ice ever the real deal? Or was he just the ultimate industry plant that spiraled out of control? And what about that infamous relationship with Madonna? Yeah, you heard me right. Are you mad at me? Yes. Do you want to chase the makeup? Yes. Alright, hold tight, because we're going there. From multiple arrests to bizarre career shifts and a fall from grace that's almost jaw-dropping, this is the untold story of Vanilla Ice. Robert Matthew Van Winkle, better known as Vanilla Ice, was born on October 31, 1967. And from the very start, drama seemed to follow him like a shadow. Let's start with the basics. Ice never even knew who his real father was. You were born on Halloween. Did you ever know your biological father? No, that's right, his father was a mystery. And if you're wondering where the name Van Winkle comes from, here's the scoop. It's the last name of the man his mom was married to at the time. Not his biological dad, just the guy in the picture. And speaking of his mom, let's just say she lived a life. She's been married 7 times. 7. She laughs, saying, I got 7 honeymoons, 7 dresses, and I love it. It just didn't work out. Now, throw in a little extra drama. Her 3 kids, all from different dads. Yep, you heard that right. Ice's siblings each had a different father. How many kids? 3. 3 kids, all with different dads. Now, let's paint the picture. Imagine growing up in a house where your mom is switching husbands more often than she's changing outfits. Stable family life? Yeah, that wasn't really on the menu for young Robert. I am from the streets. And if you can't see that, then you're blind, he said about his upbringing. But here's the twist. Despite the chaos, Ice claims his childhood wasn't all bad. According to him, he never really felt fatherless because one of his stepdads, Byron, actually stepped up. One of my stepdads was kind of my dad, Byron. Byron was the guy who took him to motocross races. And hey, let's give props where it's due. Not all stepdads are willing to put in the effort, but Byron was there when it counted. Now, you might think that's the full scoop on his wild childhood, right? Nah, we're just getting started. By the time Ice hit 10th grade, he was out. School just wasn't his thing. He hit the eject button and dropped out. But honestly, even before that, it was clear school wasn't going to work out. While most kids were stressing over homework, Ice was all about motocross. I raced motocross to make money, he says. He was out there tearing up dirt tracks while his classmates were buried in algebra. And his mom, you'd think she'd be fuming that her son wasn't exactly hitting the books. But nope, not this mom. Not one day ever. My mom went to the principal and said, my son does not do homework. Professional motocross racer. He will come to school every day. So, how did Robert Van Winkle transform into Vanilla Ice? Well, buckle up, because this story's a little awkward. According to Ice, he was the only white kid in his friend group. And what do friends do? They tease you, relentlessly. They started calling him Vanilla. And let's just say, Ice wasn't exactly thrilled. The vanilla came first. I said, stop calling me that. What, are you guys racist? Why are you calling me that? They had a point, he was white. But things really escalated when Ice picked up a breakdancing move called the Ice. And just like that, his friends mashed the two together, and boom, Vanilla Ice was born. I kind of was the first one in my crew doing that Ice move, so they were like, Vanilla, do that Ice move. And that was it. Name stuck. History made. Now, remember how he dropped out of school? Well, instead of following the typical dropout route, flipping burgers or hustling on the street, Vanilla Ice was laser focused. He wasn't going to fade into the background. He was going to make it big. I'd go to the mall, spin on my head, and make $40 a day. But Ice's big break, it came by pure accident. One night, he was at a South Dallas club called City Lights when his buddy Squirrel dared him to hop on stage and show off his rapping and dancing skills. And Ice, well, he absolutely crushed it. The crowd loved him, but the real kicker, the club's manager, John Bush, was watching, and he immediately asked Ice if he wanted to perform there regularly. Ice stepped off the stage, went to the bar, and suddenly, people were handing him business cards. And that's when the magic really started to happen. Eventually, the club's owner, Tommy Kwan, saw dollar signs and signed him to a contract. Now, Vanilla Ice had official backing. Fast forward to 1989, and Ice releases his first single, Play That Funky Music, with a B-side you might know, Ice Ice Baby. Play that funky music, one more time. With Ice Ice Baby on the flip side, the throwaway track, right? But here's where things get wild. Tommy Kwan, Ice's manager, sent the single to radio stations, but the response? Meh, crickets. But life has a funny way of throwing curveballs, right? While Play That Funky Music was struggling, a disc jockey in Georgia randomly decided to play Ice Ice Baby. And boom, everything changed. No one saw this coming. Not even Ice. But when the song dropped, people lost their minds. It became an anthem, so much so that it almost overshadowed its own #1 hit status. Before long, Ice Ice Baby was blowing up everywhere. Just like that, Vanilla Ice went from being an unknown to being unstoppable. It was 1990 when the song officially became the first ever hip-hop track to hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Let me say that again, Vanilla Ice was the first rapper to ever top the Billboard Hot 100. Not Tupac, not Biggie, not Run DMC. Nope, Vanilla Ice. But wait, we're not done yet. Ice signed a new deal with SBK Records, and they decided to remix and repackage his entire album under a new name, To the Extreme. And did it sell? Oh, you better believe it sold. The album became the fastest-selling hip-hop album of all time, sitting at #1 for a staggering 16 weeks on the Billboard 200. Sounds like a fairy tale, right? Well, hold on tight because behind all the record sales, screaming fans, and chart-topping success, Vanilla Ice's real life was about to get very messy. Now, let's dive into that mess. Being a white rapper in a predominantly black genre. Yeah, it wasn't exactly a walk in the park for Vanilla Ice. People were talking. Some people definitely said a white boy couldn't rap. And Ice, he felt that tension, and trust me, he didn't keep quiet about it. Picture this, it's 1991, and the American Music Awards are in full swing. Ice just won Favorite New Pop Rock Artist. Now, let's be real, that's already a little fishy, considering he was, a rapper. But instead of delivering the usual, thank you to my fans, speech, Ice decided to vent. And when he spoke, it was clear he wasn't just talking to his fans. It sounded like he was pointing fingers at some of his fellow black rappers who weren't exactly thrilled about a white guy taking over their genre. And that wasn't the only mic drop moment. Things took an even wilder turn when Ice appeared on the Arsenio Hall show. Now, if you know anything about Arsenio, you know he doesn't sugarcoat anything. And he was not about to let Ice play the victim card. Ice seemed to think he was getting hate just because he was white and successful in hip-hop. But Arsenio, he had a different take. To Arsenio, the real issue wasn't Ice's race. It was about white people in the industry suddenly jumping into rap just because they saw a white face on a hip-hop album cover. Oh, you could feel the tension crackling through the screen. Ice, he stood his ground, insisting it wasn't his fault. He said black rappers shouldn't be blaming him for the biases in the industry. And let me tell you, that conversation got awkward real fast. But if you thought that was the peak of the drama, hold on, because it was just getting started. A few weeks later, the legendary sketch show In Living Color, led by Keenan Ivory Wayans, absolutely roasted Vanilla Ice in a parody that was so savage, it probably still haunts him to this day. And when I say savage, I mean brutal. They tore him apart. The skit even had him getting stabbed in the butt with a toilet paper cut. Yeah, it was that brutal. The entire hip-hop world, they were laughing. It was like the official stamp that Vanilla Ice had gone from being the hottest thing in music to a straight-up joke. Oof. But don't think the drama ended there. Oh no, it only got worse. Enter Suge Night. When Suge shows up in the story, you know things are about to get real dangerous. So here's the deal. After Ice Ice Baby blew up, everyone wanted a piece of the action. And one person who definitely wanted his cut. The notorious Suge Night. And let's be honest, when Suge wants something, he's not asking politely. Now, here's where things get messy. A Dallas rapper named Mario Lavelle Johnson claimed he co-wrote Ice Ice Baby. But guess what? He wasn't getting paid what Suge thought he deserved. And Suge, He wasn't about to just ask for a credit. Legend has it, Suge and his boys showed up at Vanilla Ice's hotel and had a very persuasive conversation. And by persuasive, I mean they allegedly dangled Ice over a 15th floor balcony. So the story goes, Suge took him out on the balcony. He made Ice look over the edge. I needed to wear a diaper that day. Yes, you heard that right. The 15th floor. And while Vanilla Ice later tried to downplay it, claiming they didn't actually hang him off the balcony, let's be real, the threat was clear. And when Suge Night makes a demand, you comply, no questions asked. You know, Ice later said, "Oh, Suge never did that to me. It's all phony baloney." But the bottom line, that threat was very, very real. You're not messing around with Suge Night. So what did Ice do? He signed over a portion of the Ice Baby royalties to Suge and Mario, which, surprise, surprise, helped fund the launch of Death Row Records. Let that sink in for a minute, the same label that birthed Tupac, Snoop Dogg, and Dr. Dre. Would there even be a Death Row Records without Vanilla Ice? Some of that money came straight from his pocket. That's a part of hip-hop history that can't be ignored. But hold on, because when it comes to royalties, Vanilla Ice's troubles didn't end there. Oh no, his next headache, a lawsuit over sample clearances. Sure, I didn't clear any samples, Ice admits. And in 1991, that didn't sit well with Queen and David Bowie. You see, Ice Baby had shamelessly sampled their iconic 1981 track Under Pressure, without so much as a permission slip or royalty check. Under Pressure was basically a sample, Ice said. I sampled the Under Pressure song, David Bowie and Queen. Let's just say Queen and Bowie weren't exactly cool with that. We had to convince these guys that we were going to make it big and get some studio time, Ice remembers. But those legends, they weren't buying it. Honey, that's not how we roll, they said. After a whirlwind of legal threats and some backstage whispers, the whole scandal was eventually hushed up with an out-of-court settlement. And you know what? Ice even bought a portion of Under Pressure for himself. Talk about a twist. Now, let's dive into Vanilla Ice's rap sheet because, wow, this man's had some wild run-ins with the law. I ran the streets, man. I got arrested many, many times, probably more than you can find out on that computer, Ice admitted. While most of his arrests came from running with the wrong crowd, he wasn't shy about admitting, wrong people. You learn, you get wiser when you get older. You realize that was dumb. But oh, this next story. It's straight out of a movie. Picture this, Vanilla Ice is outside a supermarket in Los Angeles, just minding his own business when a homeless guy walks up, trying to sell him a chain. You know, the kind of chain you'd find in a pawn shop. Ice's response, "Nah, man, I'm good. Go away, please." Now, I'm not sure if this guy was just too persistent, or if Ice was feeling extra paranoid, but after a few more, no thanks, Ice decided to pull out a gun. Now let's pause for a second because, first of all, this is It was a chain. Yeah, just a chain. But they say you pulled out a gun on him. I did, Ice admitted. This guy was scaring the crap out of me, man. Let's set the scene. He's at a Ralph's in LA, a city where gun laws are no joke. You can't just be walking around with a firearm unless you've got a permit. California's rules, they're a whole different beast compared to the states Ice was used to. But when you're a 90s celebrity and you think everyone's out to get you, well, clearly the rules don't apply. But here's where it gets hilarious. The homeless guy, he wasn't just going to walk away and take the LO, no. He went straight to the cops. And 15 minutes later, forget the regular police. We're talking SWAT team, 30 officers with shields. Next thing you know, the cops roll up, and guess who's getting arrested for possession of a firearm? Yep, none other than Mr. Ice himself. Vanilla Ice. He ended up spending the night in jail before finally getting everything sorted out. The moral of the story? Maybe don't wave a gun at strangers in a city with some of the strictest gun laws in the country. But now, let's get to the real tea you've all been waiting for. The sizzling romance between Vanilla Ice and the one and only queen of pop, Madonna. Yeah, you heard me right. Madonna, the woman who was basically the female equivalent of Michael Jackson. And let's be real, she was huge. Bigger than big. And guess what? Our very own Vanilla Ice once dated her. And get this, despite being 9 years her junior, it was Madonna who made the first bold move. And here's the kicker, she even proposed to him. Weird, right? So, you said no. I told her I'm way too young for you. Oof, that had to sting. But how did it all start? In 1991, Vanilla Ice was performing at Madison Square Garden in New York, and that's when Madonna walked into his dressing room. They introduced themselves, and from there, well, history was made. She came in, said hello, and then spent the entire show dancing along to Ice's performance. But here's the thing, this whirlwind romance didn't even last a full year. So what went wrong with this high-profile power couple? We all know the infamous detail that tore it apart. Madonna's sex book fizzled out because of that sex book thing. Ice said, right, so, you were in her sex book? Yeah, imagine that. You're dating one of the biggest pop icons in the world. And out of nowhere, she drops a risque, not safe for work photo book featuring none other than you, without even asking. Yep, I'm talking about sex, Madonna's infamous book that featured some, interesting imagery. Interesting, good luck finding a better word for it. Let's be honest, it was dirty, brother. Real dirty. For Vanilla Ice, that was the ultimate betrayal. After just 8 months of dating, that was the end of it. It went down under the radar for me, he admitted. Never brought to my attention. And then when it came out, it was shocking. It ended our relationship. But here's Ice's ultimate take. But who gives a shit, man? I'm happy now. I've got kids, a beautiful wife. That's some puppy shit. Seriously, though, who in their right mind signs up for a relationship that feels more like living in a tabloid headline than a love affair? Let's be real. Dating Madonna in the 90s was like dating controversy itself. So what did he think he was signing up for? A secret Bible study group? Now that Ice was a bona fide Hollywood star, he wasn't about to just kick back and let his chart-topping hits define him. Oh, no, he jumped headfirst into the wild world of movies. In 1991, Ice made his first big screen appearance in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, where he performed the iconic ninja rap. Lyrics: drop that bass and get the ninja rap. Feel it, right? Ice was connected forever to that moment, to the Turtles, and to the culture. It's a bond that runs deep, no doubt. Vanilla Ice's career wasn't all smooth sailing. He starred in Cool as Ice, a campy disaster that critics tore apart, calling it a box office bomb. His second album, Mind Blowin', 1994, was also met with harsh criticism, marking the decline of his musical career. But Ice didn't let that stop him. He pivoted to real estate. I started building homes back in the 90s, 11 years on Star Island, he said. And just like that, he began constructing a new empire. In 2010, he launched the Vanilla Ice Project, a hit reality TV show that marked a major comeback. After the Madonna scandal, Vanilla Ice found love again with Laura Gerita. They married in 1997 and had 2 kids, but things took a dark turn in 2001 when Ice was arrested for assaulting her. He faced similar charges in 2004 and 2008, and by 2016, they divorced. Fast forward to 2025, and Vanilla Ice has reinvented himself. He's a proud dad, real estate pro, occasional 90s performer, and even a motocross enthusiast. With a net worth of $20 million, he's living his best life. Whether you call him a one-hit wonder or a legend, one thing's clear. When that iconic beat drops, no one can resist the pull of Ice Ice Baby.